I got a video today of a guy, and I had to get into this one because I saw a clip of a guy speaking about King Von, the rapper, and DMX, the rapper. And I'm thinking what he was saying initially, I thought was just, hyperbolic information that he was speaking on, thinking that maybe he's trolling. But from the clip, it doesn't look like it. I wanted to delve into the notion that King Von is more of a better rapper because this person says he's more authentic than a DMX. In his lyrics, King Von, as he states, says he done X, Y, and Z. So because he done X, Y, and Z, in comparison to DMX's life, King Von is a better rapper because King Von was saying it exactly as it is, and DMX was talking cap.
You know, everybody likes to talk about how old school hip hop is better than new school hip hop until you bring up authenticity. Like you take somebody like DMX versus King Von. DMX was literally just an angry crackhead. This is not me trying to get off no joke. This is the truth. DMX had substance abuse issues, most notably with crack. This guy could rap. He could rap like nobody's business. But guess what? Every word of what he said was cap. Now, look at somebody like King Von. Could he rap like DMX? No. But what was he rapping about? He was rapping about things that he actually did. And here's my problem with all of this. You can't convince me that DMX is a better liar, a more lyrical liar than King Von was a truth teller. I don't need to be hyper lyrical when I'm telling you about things that I actually did. King Von said, I did X, Y, Z. Guess what? It's confirmed he did all of it. DMX, his whole career is nothing but tall tales from the high hills. Now, I'm not saying that he's not a good rapper. I'm just saying the guy who actually lived his lyrics always has to be considered better than the guy who just made it up. I don't really care how this makes you feel. And at the end of the day, DMX pulls in around 11 million streams per month. Same as King Von. They have the same demographic, essentially. So that means the same people who listen to DMX, they're listening to King Von. The same people who listen to King Von, they're listening to DMX. It just so happens that we have an objective metric to judge them, and it's the authenticity of the rhyme. King Von is better. He was real.
Him mentioning that DMX is cap or talking telltales or whatever, right? How is that the case when his life, based on what information is about his life, shows that he was real? He was literally living, before he got into the rap, a life of crime. So if he's referencing stuff that he's gone through in his life from the hood he was brought up in, how can that be cap when there's verified information to prove that this guy was outside, really outside? So I don't see how that part is cap. The struggles he went through, yes, that's human-like struggle where he had issues with drug abuse. We know this, but that doesn't mean what he was saying about his life and aspects of it were cap. I'm not here to defend anybody in this conversation about the two rappers, right? King Von and DMX. I'm just here to speak from an objective standpoint. I want to speak about him being real, and DMX is more or less not real and not truthful in his raps, and the fact that real, it seems, ends at having bodies. Because more or less, if you're talking about a King Von and you're saying he done X, Y, and Z, he really done it, you're referring to, in my humble opinion, bodies. Him having some bodies. What else would you be referring to? Because at the end of the day, he's from the streets. DMX was from the streets. Being in the streets, if you've been born in the hood, or you've been born in any environment where it's deprived and it's generally known as, hood, this country, the roads, you will know there's people that do things that are untoward. They're in the streets heavy. Whatever they're doing, it could be all sorts. It could be any types of crime. You've got people that are robbers, stick-up kids in America. They're called generally robbers, stick-up kids. You've got people that sell drugs. You got people that are shooters. You got people that are good with the hand game. If you're in the streets heavy in those aspects, in my humble opinion, there will be real individuals in those environments doing what I've mentioned, even if they have no bodies. DMX was involved in robberies. He was a robber in the hood, right? According to his background. So that's one aspect of somebody doing things that generally most people wouldn't do, because most people wouldn't rob at the level of going up to people and sticking them up, right? Especially if they're from a certain background and they've been raised differently and they've had certain opportunities for their mentality to not be into that kind of way. DMX was a robber. It's been clearly assessed and that has been clearly validated, right?
Now, Yonkers, y'all had heroes that we didn't know about yet, like DMX. When y'all was running around with Warlocks, y'all looking up at DMX, he's like a superstar in Yonkers.
Absolutely. X.
Tell me about that era.
X, come on, man. X was like the first battle rapper to us. X was really robbing people and rapping about it later. Like, yo, man, X was getting high and bugging out with this dog and having a dog rob you. And I'm not making this up, man. Yo, Luch, yo. And then we wound up, he told the Rough Riders, DNY about us. And they became management. And X would like try to ask, can he keep the dog at my house? My mom would come home with the dog in the living room, but the dog won't do nothing. I'm like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? But X was, X, rest in peace, so solid, man. But was really, really living that life.
When it comes to being in the streets, as I was saying earlier, if you're in the streets and you're doing all sorts, as I mentioned, you are considered, depending on the type of person you are considered about that and being real. Because to be in the field, you can only be a certain type of guy, a certain mentality to say, you know what? I'm on it. I'm on to do what's required. So to have that mentality in a field where only a few maintain their life, you have to have some form of realism to you. You have to have some form of, do you know what I mean? Mind where the mind is not the normal mind to say I'm in the streets. And most people that are in those environments, not everyone has had bodies, but they've had close shaves with losing their life or taking people's lives or doing things that, like I say, are aspects of being quote unquote in the hip hop community. And I'm not saying I'm for these mentalities, being real, right? About that life. So if DMX, was about that life by being in those environments, robbing dudes and being a stick up kid, how is his life depicted in his music not real? Again, let me make this clear. I'm not a fan of any of this stuff, right? In terms of who's real and who's from this and who's done this. But the point is, I saw the conversation and I thought it's not the most smartest conversation in terms of who's real, but it's more of what is logically acceptable when it comes to who is real when you're in the field and who is not. You cannot say a DMX is not real when you've been in the field. Now, if you are in the field and every time something goes on, you're cowering or you pull out of stuff, or then you're in an environment that you shouldn't be in, right? That means, yeah, you ain't built for this. But if DMX, for example, was in this, like I said, and it's been proven, he's real. So that, for me, nullifies his point of real and having caps in his raps. King Von, we know he is a rapper that went straight to the point when he spoke in his lyrics. Yes, I done this is my ops, this, that, and the other. We know. His name is validated when it comes to what he has done that is untoward. Again, I'm not for this stuff. I'm just trying to speak on the subject of King Von being better than DMX because he's more real. It was noted that King Von, where he was from, what he's about in terms of his crew, we know this. That part, there's no point in even going into the deep aspects of it because you can find that information. That's validated. That's cool. But when it comes to this rap, you have to be considered one of the best based on your skill level. The ability to have stories, the ability to speak on them in a way where you're having a lyrical skill where you're able to have descriptive analysis in your raps. Your bars have to have some form of construction that the average person is not generally able to do. That was the era I grew up in. You have to have bars where you're delivering it and there's some believability behind it. The tone, the tonality, the the way you say your words, the grammatical aspects of how you construct your bars. If, as he has proven, this person on the clip mentioned that DMX actually can rap, and more or less you will say he is a better rapper when it comes to the skill aspect, how is he not better overall when it's been proved that he actually is real? Because he was actually outside. He was robbing people. He was that guy in that aspect, right? From how the street are perceiving if you're real, he was actually doing things. And on top of that, has a lyrical aspect in his raps where he's actually talking about what he's gone through. And he does rap better lyrically than a King Von. How is he better? King Von is a rapper that was good, according to a lot of people. But in terms of the lyrical aspects and having the skill level, it wasn't there. So him being more real based on the fact that he's got bodies, and that's the main aspect. That means every person in the street who's doing all sorts, who's been shot, who's shot at dudes, who shot at police, for example, who knocked dudes out, for example, like I said earlier about having good hand game. Let's just say that, pause. Let's just say that people are good with their hands and they're knocking dudes out. Are those dudes not real? So the people that do all sorts in the streets because they haven't got a body, are they not real? Let's just say you're a person that is in the streets and you defend yourself. You're doing what you do. You're making your money in the way you make it on the streets, but you're the type that you don't initiate, you just defend. You shoot dudes who try and move to you. Are you not real then? Based on the street mentality of what's real? Real does not end with having bodies. Because I guarantee if this King Von didn't have, allegedly, as he said, he done X, Y, and Z, have bodies, you would not be mentioning that he's better than DMX. I think the final assessment of how he assesses someone's realism is if they've got bodies. No, that's not how the road is, the streets are. It's you are in the field. It's all about having the ability to be in the field and standing 10 toes whenever there's all sorts going on. And if DMX was in that and doesn't have, for example, let's just say he doesn't have a body, which he shouldn't. We hope nobody is advocating for these things, right? He's still considered real. And on top of that, his lyrics are better and his flow is better. And it's been depicted that DMX is one of the best rappers ever because he can actually rap skill level. That's how rap is judged. If you've got the skill level, then on top of that, the believability in his delivery, the relatability of what he's saying in his songs, how it relates to more people from young to old, the struggles that he used to talk about was relatable to individuals. Then on top of that, he was actually real because it's been proven. That makes him in totality a better rapper and more a viable option in comparison to King Von from a rapping perspective because they are both real. King Von was real according to the street aspects of being real, and DMX was according to the street aspects. Just because, again, he said in King Von's raps, as this guy in the clip said, he said X, Y, and Z. It doesn't mean DMX's aspects of his X, Y, and Z is not real. They are both real. Now you may say King Von is super real. You don't want to be extra with the wording, but they are both real because they were both in the field. And when you're in the field, there has to be some form of realism about you if you are partaking in activity in the aspects of the hip hop rap mentality, the hood mentality, which I'm not for. I'm just explaining. You've got to know more than just he is real based on having bodies. It's far more expansive because hip hop also shouldn't just be judged on if he said X, Y, and Z, that means he's the best. No. If, for example, you rapped as well as Nas, but you weren't in the streets like King Von, would you still say King Von is better? I don't believe so. You can say that because rap has to also be assessed on the skill level. And the problem is we've lost those aspects of how to assess rap. And that's why rap generally from a commercial sense is not where it needs to be. It's not where it used to be. If you grew up in the 90s, knowing so many hits on the charts, it's not where it used to be because we are losing the aspects of how to assess it. We're saying things like, oh, this person's more real. So as long as he's more real, he's better. And that person gets more notoriety. But what's the skill level about? If you're from the streets, if you grew up in there, you stand 10 toes down in any situation, you're fair game when things are happening, you're real according to the typical aspects that real is assessed when it comes to the hood, and most importantly when it comes to this rap. But what do people think when it comes to this conversation? Let me know.